Chapter 9. When acceptance is the last step. You don't remember falling asleep. There's no signal that you've crossed over. No shift in weight. No deep breath to mark the transition. One moment you are in the room. The next, you're not. You're home. Not your home now, the one from before. The one with the rusted garden gate and the slanted porch light. The one that creaked when your father came home too late, or your mother boiled water with her back to the stove just to give her hands something to do. It's dim inside, but not sad, golden almost, a warm filter placed over a broken photograph. You walk down the hallway and everything is still. Not dead, not abandoned, just paused. You see them, your parents. They aren't young, not the way you imagined them in stories, not the version you reconstructed with nostalgia. They're tired. Their bodies fold a little differently when they sit. Their faces aren't tragic or heroic. They're just people. You stand there watching them through the cracked doorway like you used to, as if standing there long enough might teach you how to be. They're arguing, but not loudly. It's not even anger. It's the low, tired voice of people who don't know how to fix things and have accepted that fixing isn't coming. He sighs. She flinches, but not from fear, just from recognition. He looks down at his hands like he doesn't know where they've been. She touches her necklace absent-mindedly, like it might still hold something sacred. You watch the whole thing and feel the echo of every time you mistook their silence for safety. Every time you believed that if the door was closed, they must be dancing behind it. They weren't dancing. They were surviving. Just like you. The dream holds steady longer than it should. You expect it to twist, to decay, to turn into metaphor, but it doesn't. It just stays sad, plainly sad, authentically human. That's when it hurts, because there's no villain here. Just two people who weren't equipped, who tried anyway, who hoped their love could stretch far enough to keep you from knowing. It didn't, but you love them still. Even in this dream, you love them more for how hard they tried and how much they failed. You whisper, because the dream is fragile. I think I forgive you. They don't hear you. They don't need to. They're gone again. You wake up, but it doesn't feel like waking. It feels like dissolving. Like surfacing from deep water only to realize you don't remember how to breathe. The room is still, but you're not. Something inside you has cracked open, not in an explosive way, but like frost on glass, delicate, spreading, inevitable. You stare ahead for a long time, not thinking, just adjusting. That was just a dream, you tell yourself, but you know better. That was a memory trying to make peace with itself, and it failed. There is no urgency anymore, no resistance. You sit there, and the weight doesn't crush you. It just becomes your posture. You think about how long you've waited to understand something cleanly, how often you've rewritten history to protect the people who raised you from your disappointment. But they were never gods. They were tired humans. And now, so are you. You feel the dull ache of that truth settle into your spine. Your father is no longer a reason to stay. Your mother is no longer a reason to pretend. They would understand, wouldn't they? If they were only human, then they must know how hard it is to keep walking when your knees give out from loneliness. You're not asking them to carry you anymore. And strangely, that's what breaks you. Because you know they tried. And maybe in some way they still are. But you don't feel saved by that effort. You just feel done. You lie back in the chair, though it no longer feels symbolic. Not a throne, not a cage, just a place to rest your body while your soul sits still. You aren't angry. You aren't even sad, not in the way others understand sadness. It's more like erosion. Like your desire has been worn smooth, not gone, just grounded off, barely recognizable as want. You stare at your own hands. Not for a metaphor. Just to check that you're still here. You are. But it doesn't mean what it used to. A part of you thinks maybe I should get up, but it's not followed by anything. No plan, no purpose, no hopeful second thought. It drifts off into the room like mist, unformed, unpursued. You reach for something, anything, to root you. And what rises instead is a memory you didn't ask for. It's small, stupid, even. You're a child in the back seat. Rain's hitting the window like it's trying to have a conversation, and you're holding a crumpled fast food napkin in your lap for no reason. You remember thinking, this is the safest I've ever felt. You weren't being held. No one was speaking to you. Your parents weren't even getting along. But it was raining and you were quiet and no one needed anything from you, and that was enough. You cling to that moment like it might still exist somewhere. But the car is gone. The rain has stopped, and now there's just you. A person who doesn't want to die, but doesn't care much to live. That's when the shift happens, subtle, internal. Not new pain, but the absence of hope that pain could still mean something. You're not bargaining anymore, you're not searching for signs. You've stopped looking for the exit, not because you found it, but because you're not convinced it matters. You look up. The room feels taller, or maybe you're smaller. Your voice feels like it wouldn't echo even if you screamed. You don't scream, you just whisper. I don't know if I want to stay. The sentence doesn't feel like a cry for help, it feels like a footnote, a statement of inventory. You expect someone to answer. No one does, because there's no one left here that you don't already know. Ego is silent in the dark, arms crossed, eyes closed. Anxiety flickers faintly like static, but doesn't approach. Even the evaluator isn't present yet. Not fully. You're in a waiting room with yourself, and for the first time you understand why people leave not in rage or despair, but in stillness. You sit there for a long time just breathing, just being, and then without knowing why, you say it again, this time to no one. I forgive you. You're not sure who it's for. Your parents? Yourself? God? The word just needed somewhere to go. That's when the air changes. Not colder, not darker, heavier, like something is arriving, not loudly, not cruelly, just arriving. And somewhere inside you a thought, if they knew I felt this way, they'd understand. Because they were human. Because now you are too. Because maybe we all break quietly. Maybe that's just what being real looks like. There's a moment, right before the shift, where you think, maybe this is enough. Not enough to fix it, not enough to want anything new, just enough to stop needing something else. You think about calling someone, not to say goodbye, just to hear their voice. Just to remind yourself that voices still exist outside your head. But you don't. Not because you're ashamed, because you already know how that conversation ends. They'll tell you to fight, to breathe, to remember who you are, to hold on. And you won't argue, because they'll be right. But the voice in your head will say, we already did all that. And now? Now you're just tired. You rest your head back again, let the weight find its place. You stare into the dark above you and wait for something to hurt. But nothing does. Not like it used to. Even your sorrow feels like an old song played through a wall, familiar, distant, barely moving the air. You imagine them again, your parents, not in the dream this time, just as they are now. And you wonder if they've had this moment too. If your father ever sat in his car and didn't start the engine, not because he couldn't, but because he wasn't sure why he should. If your mother ever cried in the bathroom because she didn't want anyone to know she was still afraid. You wonder if they thought of you in those moments. If they knew that one day you'd end up here, not blaming them, not angry, just empty. You hope they never did. You hope they still don't, because this version of you isn't who they'd recognize, and you don't want to be a source of their sorrow, even now, even if you've accepted yours. That's when the chair creaks. A sound so soft it might have been imagined. But it isn't. You know it isn't. Because now, you're not alone.